Well, Donald Trump's declared a 13-day emergency in Washington, D.C. amid fears there'll be more armed protests in the run-up to President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration. After FBI warnings of more potential violence, including talk of a Militia March, cities across the country are on high alert. Meanwhile, Democrats have started impeachment proceedings against Trump, accusing him of inciting the violent attack on the Capitol last week. An official vote is due on Wednesday, US time.
Steve Clemens joins us from Washington, D.C. Steve, Washington is under an emergency declaration. What's the mood there like now?
It's really tense, Peter. We've got National Guard units out all over town. They've just closed the Washington Mall. That's where, the big monuments are, like the Lincoln Memorial now. And just among friends and colleagues, it's just a tense place right now.
Steve, we're seeing reports of a call for a Militia March next week. That's in every state in the US. That's 50 states. Do you have the military available in the US to deal with potential mass violence like that?
Well, we're going to see. I mean, it's really going to stress the system to the limits, because when you have intelligence reports that there may be trouble in 50 different states. Now, I don't believe that report. I believe that if you're a red state and you've got a Republican governor and a Republican legislature and your state went for Donald Trump, I'm not imagining there's going to be a lot of violence there. It's in the states that were battleground states, or the states that are states that went for Joe Biden, but there's a significant portion of Trump supporters where I think the real violence is, and they've got National Guard units being called up, but who knows what the targets will be.
Steve, Joe Biden said today that he'll take his oath outside on the steps of the Capitol, as every other president since Reagan has. How normal of an inauguration can we expect?
It's not going to be a normal inauguration at all. Normally, you have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people clamoring to get a view of the swearing in of the next president. That is not going to happen. Joe Biden insisted he's going to do the inauguration outside, and it is going to be a very high security moment. And even the media are going to be kept to a very minimal number of people, far more minimal than would normally be the case.
Steve, what's your biggest fear for the inauguration?
But one of the insidious elements of what we saw is that there were elements of the police force, elements of veterans and National Guard units that had been part of the crowd, the Make America Great Again Trump supporters that did penetrate the Capitol and threaten people. I fear snipers. I fear bombs. I fear people that are experts in military maneuvers, doing something on Inauguration Day.
Steve, Facebook has joined the social media pushback on Trump and his supporters by censoring certain content. Is that going to make a difference?
Well, I think so. I think Donald Trump has lost his megaphone for the moment. He's been banned from Twitter. You have TikTok that has banned statements like storm the Capitol and the Patriot Party. And you have Facebook that has banned phrases like stop the steal. All of these things are identifying and targeting individuals, and it's creating essentially, a catalog of who's who out there, eventually for law enforcement, I suppose. But in that sense, you have at least a lot of speed bumps that have been put into the communications channels for Republicans right now, and they're feeling that heat. I imagine that by Inauguration Day, they will find other forms of smoke signals and secret handshakes to communicate with one another. But right now, the Trump megaphone is turned off. They'll find another way to turn it on, but it has had an impact.
For now, the silence is wonderful. Thanks so much as always, Steve.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Still in the US, you may have seen this photo of Adam Johnson, a protester seen inside the Washington Capitol building holding Nancy Pelosi's lectern. He's since been arrested, and after posting bail today, his lawyer revealed he's got a bit of an uphill battle on his hands.
Part of what you have to, factor into is, again, you just have to drill down on what actually happened. You have a photograph of our client, in a building, unauthorized to be there with, what appears to be a podium or a lectern. I'm not exactly sure which one it is called, but that's what we have.
Obviously, that presents problems for you as a defense attorney, in that you have your client in the building at the time of the break-in.
I don't know how to else explain that, but yeah, that would be a problem. I'm not a magician, and neither is Mr. Bigney.
Okay, hang on. Am I the defense? I thought I was the prosecution. Oh, there's been a terrible mistake.
I love how he said, "I'm not a magician." It's like, you don't have to. You just have to be a lawyer. That's all you have to be. You know?
He was just getting a selfie, everyone. No?
Maybe.
No. All right. Quick break. We'll be back in a moment.
With so much content online, it's sometimes hard to keep up with it all. And let's face it, who has the time? The Project YouTube has you covered with the stories that matter. Hit subscribe for a daily list of the news that you need to know.